Somebody stole our name.
Really?
Yeah, they got some other channel up there. Yeah, it looked like it's loading.
Yeah, it should be broadcasting now. It'll be up now. Mic checks, audio check. If I can hear myself. Sounds pretty good. All right, everyone, welcome. Sorry for the late start. Had a series of technical difficulties in getting today's broadcast up, but hopefully all of that has worked out and we can get today's session. So without further delay, let's go ahead and open up with the prayer for spiritual workers, and then we'll move into announcements. Prayer for spiritual workers. Almighty God, I bless all those who, because of their limitations, would smite me. Almighty God, I bless all those who, because of their weakness, would not heed me. Almighty God, I bless all those who, because of their ignorance, would defile you through me. And I ask, Almighty God, O wondrous power, that your strength may be given to me now, so that I might be fortified by this, so that I might go forward bravely into the world, and despite reception, send forth my love of thee throughout all races of man. Almighty God, give me the power and strength to rise above my karmic weakness, the deficiencies in the pattern of my evolution, so that I might evolve and become stronger, aye, and even stronger in thy everlasting light. O God, thy will be done. All right, welcome everyone to today's session. Again, I am having some technical difficulties, so if we do drop off somewhere between the broadcast, I'll try to quickly jump back in, and if not, then we'll just continue next session. So I apologize in advance for any issues. Some announcements for what we will be covering for the remainder of this year. So as I mentioned earlier, uh, we will be looking at reviewing of lectures, selected lecture series. The first one, and probably the main one we'll cover this year, is the 21 Lessons of Metaphysics, the Foundation of Mystic and Yogic Teachings. And the reason for that is that I was going through the videos in the playlist and looking at previous sessions where we would cover the Metaphysics 101 series, was averaging around 2 to 3 sessions um, per video. So Metaphysics 101 class 1 took us about 2 or 3 classes to get through, I think, the first 30 to 45 minutes of the video. That includes going through a transcript, reading through a transcript, and as well inserting updated slides and diagrams. And so I was going through the 21 lesson series. Let me just go over there really quick so I can show you. Swap over to So in the 21 lessons series, this playlist includes many videos, not just the 21 lessons, but videos that we thought at the time we created this playlist are foundational to a solid understanding and foundation in metaphysics. But the 21 lessons proper videos, there's about 15 videos on the 21 lessons of metaphysics title. And if we take about 2 classes or 2 sessions per video, that's 30 sessions. So if we account for any Sundays where we're either traveling or unable to broadcast, or also including a couple of open discussion sessions throughout that, can easily carry us out for the rest of 2025. So what I would like to do is 2 sessions per video. So we'll start with class 1. We'll look at the transcript. It's 2-hour video, but I think we'll do at maximum the first hour. And then for the remainder of the classes, we'll maybe do the first half of the class. So it's an hour class in the first 30 minutes, and so on and so forth. And that should take us 2 sessions, give or take, per video, including the open discussion. And that'll be all of the 21 lessons metaphysics series up to class 16. Now, there are other videos in this playlist. There's Ayurveda lecture given by a guest speaker. Then there's a couple on psychic and spiritual development, mystic knowledge of the chakras and Kundalini, Tantra Yoga, and so on and so forth. And you are free and welcome to view and review any of these videos and take any notes down or jot down any questions you may have. And as we're going through the 21 lessons videos, I think every maybe 4 classes, maybe 4 videos, I'll stop and do an open discussion session or Q&A session, and you can ask any questions you have on the information that was covered in the videos or in any of the videos that are included in this playlist. So that should take us through 2025. And then in 2026, I'll continue with this review series, but we'll cover the serpent power. So I think after we've completed the 21 lessons metaphysics, we'll have a solid foundation to allow us to tackle the serpent power book, The Secrets of Tantric and Shaktic Yoga. Now, including this, I'm deciding or debating whether I want to continue taking up the Sunday sessions with reviews of previous lectures, or going back to the lecture series on the Sunday sessions and then moving the review of previous lecture series to a Friday session like we used to have when we're meeting at FIU. We would have a Friday sessions, which is more beginner oriented. And then we would, on the Sundays, we would have our live lectures, both in person and online, taught by instructor Mr. Nehemiah Davis. So I'm debating that to see if I'll have the time and the ability to switch back to both offerings. The Friday session, I would love to do that both in person and online if possible. But that's only if we have the capability to do that, because I cannot host an in-person session and online at the same time. So it depends on how we'll work out the logistics of it. But that's what I would like to do, is to move these study and review sessions to a second offering, and then go back to our lecture series on Sunday. So your feedback is welcome and much appreciated. Let me know how you guys would like us to structure these offerings going forward, and I'll take your input into consideration. For the Florida group of the Society, we're continuing our weekly 12 blessings sessions. Those are offered on Thursdays at 8 p.m., primarily on Zoom, but we do have in-person option as well. We also are continuing our commemoration services and the study and review select lecture series that will be announced in the coming months. So I do want to go over the teachings of Dr. Sri Yogi George King and the study of the Nine Freedoms in particular, and to go along with our accompanying playlist that we have on our YouTube channel for those. So let me show you those really quick. Just as a reminder. This thing to work. Here, share, and resume. So again, on our channel, under playlists, there are two playlists in particular: Teachings of Dr. Sri Yogi George King and the Study of the Nine Freedoms. The two playlists here. Teachings playlist is about 33 videos. Nine Freedoms one is not included here. So that's one, and then number two, the study of the Nine Freedoms. The first four freedoms were covered in this series. I want to cover those. That'll probably be offered through the Florida group outlet that we have. So on MeetUp, there is a decided Florida group. And if it won't be pushed out through there, then we'll do it through the Mystic Knowledge outlets. But either way, those classes and those teachings will be covered in coming months. Again, logistics of that have not been completely worked out yet, but we'll let you know exactly how we will move forward with those. Okay, so that's all the announcements I have. Today's session is also an open discussion and Q&A. So if you do have any questions or comments, feel free to post them in the chat. I will be moving back and forth between the material I selected to cover for today, as well as the chat, and hopefully won't have any further technical issues. Okay, Bipin, I see your question here, and I will read that in a second. Actually, your question, Bipin, relates to a topic we were discussing yesterday, Mr. Davis and I, about predetermining our actions. So let me stop the stream here. Stop the share, sorry. And then after, we'll look at your question, Pippin, and then we'll move into some material I selected I want to cover today. I wanted to talk about cosmic energy and prana. Specifically, wanted to go back and look at a chapter in Mr. Nehemiah Davis's first book, The Ancient Language of the Soul. And in chapter 8, he talks about cosmic energy and prana. I wanted to do chapters 8 and 9 in preparation for 21 lessons. Chapter 8 is cosmic energy and prana, and chapter 9 is the chakra system. So I'll do 8 today, and maybe we might not get through all of 8, but over between the 16th, 23rd, and 30th, one of those Sundays I'll be out of town, but over the next couple of Sundays, I want to look at chapters 8 and 9 of the Ancient Language book. And then probably in April proper, April 6th, that first Sunday in April, we will start with the 21 lessons, and that'll give us at least 40 Sundays to cover all of the classes, with holidays and things in between. Okay, so Pippin, your question reads, I want to get good results in my academic career. How can I manifest it? Because I am maintaining all purity and trying concentrated work, but also I am not able to manifest good results. Why is this? Is it due to karma?
He's referring to college. Go ahead.
Yeah, specifically in his question, he's saying his academic career. How can he manifest good results? I want to get good results in my academic career. How can I manifest this? He says he's trying to maintain purity and concentration in his work, but he said he's not able to manifest the good results that he wants. And he's asking, why is that? Is this due to karma? And how can he get the results that he wants?
Well, of course, it's due to karma. Everything is karma means action. So every action you make is a karmic action. The environment we are in is built on past and present karma. Past and present actions of all the people and all the resorts of the people. So the only way we can have an action is on the background of trillions of other actions, in other words. So we live in a very negative environment because of society and the things society do. But within that society, within societies, there is areas or places that allow you to have a greater control of your actions. And there's techniques, and these techniques is just like I told you before, is to predetermine your actions. And you can go into, let's say you go into a library, and the first thing you notice is that it's quiet and silent. And, there's a greater level of silence in places like that. The same way there's a greater level of silence in classrooms, in churches, than what there is in the grocery stores or marketplace or whatever. So what you need to do is, if you're at a college, seek out those areas where so much gross chatter is not going on. And then you can communicate with your inner self and bring greater control over your actions in those places where most people are restricted from just doing whatever they want to do. Also, at your home or wherever you live, always create an area or a corner where you can reside and everyone knows, don't go there, don't touch anything, that's for you and you only. And that's where you do your concentration, contemplation, meditation practices at. And you keep that place pristine, clean. You set it up as a station where you're going to do, whether it's your metaphysical work or your school work. You make sure you always have an area where you can move to do that type of work. And that's predetermining your actions. And like I was telling Dwayne mentioned this because yesterday he came to me with the questions and asked me about predetermining action. And one of the things I told him, because the way is studying engineering, in engineering, they tell you the concept of X and O. And X and O is X creates a framework that you can work within, and O is the moving action within that framework. So by you predetermining your actions, you're creating a framework in which you were working. And in that framework, it will be a set of restrictions and laws that you have to govern yourself with. And the O is how you carry out the actions within that framework. So in any machine, in any functioning thing, there's an X and an O, meaning that that's how intelligence works. Then the framework, which is the environment in which that operation will happen, and then the O is the movement of how it will work within that environment, and it must follow the rules, or it will get stagnated and cannot move. So that's pure intelligence. Anything you go to look at, you can see that within it. Intelligence is being able to direct your movements in a conscious manner and calculate what your resource was, because you have created the environment to allow those resorts to happen. So that is the law. That's a law of karma. That's a law of karma. And look at anything you will find that be the resort. You know, when you look at a car, how a car cranks, it's a series of actions. Once you press that button or place a key in that ignition, there's a series of actions that always happen. And when it don't, you can always go and correct it, because you have placed that engine, that ignition, the relays, the pistons, the distributor, the starter, all of that stuff is in place. You have locked it down, and you have created a framework so that it can work in a consecutive manner to give you the resource that you want. And that's how all things work. And that's pure intelligence. So you have to create the environment in order to predetermine your actions. You predetermine what you want, you get the understanding behind everything, and you move towards that resort. And you determine the range in which you want to be in. You know, so it's just that simple. It's not nothing complex when you look at it like that. Although it could be complex, you know, to describe every detail. But is it really complex if you created the environment? It's only complex to those people who have not studied it and have not put it into their memory bank. But if you determine the 136 steps that's needed to get to that resort that you need, then it's not complex to you. It might be complex to someone else. Now, I hope that answers your question.
A follow-up question to that. So when in predetermining our actions, when we go into the silence, do we commune with our higher selves asking which actions we should take to get the result we want, or requesting from the higher self which result should we work towards in order to align ourselves with whatever our mission or purpose is here in this particular incarnation of life? Does that make sense? What I'm trying to say?
Well, the thing, you want to go to your higher self with situations that you cannot, you have not reached that level of understanding, or you can't come up with the answer from a purely physical or basic metaphysical level of understanding. It's like if you had a guide, a spirit guide on the other side that was guiding you. You don't want to go to the spirit guide and say, should I open that door? You know, or should I, should I drink sodas? You don't want to go to them with stuff like that. Those are things that you can figure out. If basic things you don't want to go to, because you have to take control over your environment. We're told that in controlling the cosmic energies within our body, because we control that. The soul, our higher self, controls everything. But we have synced our basic consciousness to a level where we don't recognize what's going on with us. We only recognize things on a basic 5 sense level, but we have at least 10 to 11 senses that we constantly ignore. So we're taught in the basic psychic practices to become aware of all your senses and to realize the power of the vortex centers called chakras that we actually work through. Not our brain. Our brain is just a receiving set. But our consciousness is the whole auric structure. The subtle atmosphere that's around the whole of our body. And the nadi system that makes up thousands and thousands of tens of thousands of pathways that link itself with those major chakras, which is 108 chakras within the body. That is your consciousness. 108 chakras. Whether they are major chakras, minor chakras, or minute chakras. And your sensitivity, all your senses lie within these vortex centers. Is laid out in a way to allow you to experience life on multiple realms of existence. But we have shut ourselves out of that sensory perception. And we have just tapped into those 5 senses. Consciously, subconsciously, we're tapped into all of them because we experience all of them. Our subconscious mind records all of them, and place this in our Akashic records to be used as information to function and carry out other actions, whether those actions are good or bad for the cycles of experience that we go through from one incarnation to another, or just basic cycles we go through in our one life. We may go through 160 some cycles in one life, on either a weekly basis, monthly basis, or yearly basis. But we turn that off. So so we are taught to tune into it. And the yogis gave us a method of doing it through the various yogas. And they broke it down to us and said that in every chakra, there's so many tabic rays or taba rays, what they call. And each ray is a realm of existence.
Mhm.
And when we control those rays, then we gain some type of control over that vortex center of consciousness. And they said the first two levels of consciousness that we need to control is the base of the spine and the sex center, which is 118 rays, which make up 118 tabic matters or realms of existence. And when we conquer those, then we move into adeptship, which is the solar plexus center. And when we leave that, when we control the rays of the solar plexus center, then we move into a higher adeptship at the heart center. And we really begin to live our real life, because we have to take control over these other centers and cool them down, because that's where the 21 impurity traits exist that hold us in what the ancient teachings call the wheel of rebirth, or the samsara state, which is constant reincarnation and constant rebirth. And it's like a leaf blowing in the wind. So with the basic stuff, we need to just take control, and we don't need to ask our higher self every other question, because the higher self give us the answers. The answers are already with us. It's already with us, because number one, we live in a framework. The X is here already. So we just have to examine the framework. Is that understandable?
Yes, understandable. So conquer, meaning we no longer require any experience from those particular realms of existence, those levels of consciousness. We've risen above it, we've exceeded it. We have full control over the energy of those realms, and we're no longer we karmically we no longer require any experience from those realms, so we can move beyond them.
Yeah, you're not responding to the desire because you have controlled the desire. You have taken that desire and utilized it in the proper comic way.
That's the yama niyama there.
It's like I don't know if you read the book Light on the Path by what's her name?
Mabel Collins, is it?
Yeah, Mabel
Mabel
Collins. Yeah. And in there, she said, kill out desire, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then she turn around and tell you to, if you kill out desire, utilize this desire,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And every passion she tell you to kill out or destroy, she also go back and say, utilize this in some type of way. So because everything has a positive and negative. So what you're actually doing is raising that energy to a different energy level that can be beneficial to you and your surrounding. So instead of instead of utilizing that energy negative, you want to utilize that energy in a balanced, positive way. That's going to yield the greatest results to you and to the people around you.
Thank you. Let me get back to the questions. Here's a couple more. Question from Jerry. It says, my girlfriend cheated on me. What will be the best reaction by me physically and mentally?
Do you really want me to answer that?
Well, Jerry, oh, go ahead.
I mean, if he really do, I will answer it, but I mean, I think that's something most people ask me that through email or letter or whatever.
I would say one of the best things you can do is to send blessings to your girlfriend.
Yeah, you immediately
ex-girlfriend, sorry.
You immediately forgive them for whatever they did to you. I mean, that's the first thing you do. And you like you say, you send blessings to them, but you have to, before you send the blessings, you have to temper that with forgiveness, and you have to come to the understanding of where they are in your forgiveness, because you're giving something up, and you have to place your mind in a place where you cannot be absorbed through your mind can't be poisoned with anger, upset, jealousy, envy, and all of that. You have to discharge all of that, because you don't want to give them a blessing and lace that blessing with all those other negative thoughts. And so you immediately forgive, and you concentrate on why this could have happened, and how did you contribute to it, and what life lessons brought her to that stage to do that negative thing. And you honestly forgive her. And when you get in that space where you have compassion for her, that's when you give her a blessing. Don't just give a blessing right away. You have to make sure that you are a pure vessel to send out a blessing of healing, because when people do that, it's a sickness. When they make a commitment to you to be with you, if she made that commitment to be with you and be exclusive with you, and she breaks that, or he breaks that, it's a sickness. It's like a splinter in the brain, in a sense. It's not good. So you have to come to that understanding. I mean, you say that, I could say this to you, but you don't really understand it. You don't feel it in yourself, but you have to concentrate and contemplate upon it to a level where you come to that understanding. And with that understanding, it purifies you to a sense, because it gives you a reason that you can hold on to why he or she did that. And then out of that compassion, you can bless them and pray for them, and pray that they gain the energy and strength and understanding never to walk that road again.
This and situations like this are one of the reasons why I really wanted to, and still want to, do a study of the prayer for spiritual workers, for example. In the prayer for spiritual workers, although it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 5, 6 stanzas, there's a lot of wisdom and power behind each word and why the messages, and the wisdom behind what Master Jesus crafted the prayer in the way that the Master did. It's we read through it and we recite it, but to actually implement it and practice it is very, very difficult. We open every class reciting the prayer for spiritual workers, but I've really taken time to sit down and concentrate on what those words mean and how and what that looks like. To bless all those who smite me, to bless all those who do not heed me, to bless all those who defile God through me. That's something very, very, very difficult to do, and it takes lifetimes to reach that level of compassion that I was just talking about. Is that right? Anybody think so?
Yes, yes. But it's not good to you may think that you're over something and you send a energy to a person and laced with all the wrong things.
Right.
So that's why you have to come to grips with what just happened to you. Because energy is real. Remember, the masters told us, all the masters that was ever worthy of being called a master, they told us that everything is Shakti. And we know that Shakti is power. Everything. When you go back to the initial creative word, which they in Sanskrit term is called Vak, when the absolute released the initial word, the thing that went forth was Shakti. And then from Shakti came everything. So you have the 4 principles of Shakti that produce intelligent movement. It produce the mind belt of the universe, the universal mind. It produced the preservative energy of the universe and all the galaxies and planets and solar systems. And then it produced prana. And then from there, the Mahabhutas burst forward and they created, and from the Mahabhutas, which is etheric elements, the galaxies, all the galaxies were formed. So everything came from Shakti, from the action of God releasing Shakti. You had God, which you can call Shiva, because Shiva is Shiva and Shakti and Nata, which is sound, Shiva is the absolute God, and Shiva contains the sound, the creative sound, and the Shakti, the power of God, the endless potential of power. So everything is Shakti, coming from the absolute. So it is real. So you have to be mindful of that in everything you do. And your consciousness is an aspect of God. That's your thought, all that is God. There's only one life in the universe, and that's God. And it exists through all living things. The presence of God is within you, and the presence of God is within a fly. There's no space where God is absent. So we must cherish our process, our thinking process, because that thinking process cannot come about without the power of God, which is Shakti.
And speaking of Shakti, it goes into our next question here. Can we please talk about Shakti and Shiva principle in our daily lives? So I guess they're asking how does a Shakti and Shiva principle apply in our daily lives? I assume that's what you're asking. Yes, okay.
Well, I just kind of explained that. You have the Shiva is really the absolute, and Shiva is always present, and it's like the background of all life. It's silent. It's the divine spark of God within every one of us. It's the spirit. And Shakti is the motion, is the movement of all life. Is the thing that creates action. So Shakti is everything else, which came from Shiva. So just like I said before, you always have the X, which is the framework. Shiva creates that framework, which is the laws in which Shakti will be governed by. And then Shakti carry out the actions. And we're told in the ancient teachings that there are four major principles of Shakti, which is do we have it up there? Yeah, which is Vajnanti, Chitta, Amana, and Prana, which is Vedanta is intelligence, the intelligent framework that all creation is built upon, or all the movements of Shakti is built upon. And then you have Chitta, which is the mind belt in which all action use to move. And then you have Amana, which is the blissful love of the absolute, holding everything in preserving all things, through the cycles in which it have to go through. And then you have the prana, the actual power that it will use to make all the actions. That is the four principles of Shakti. And then from there you have the Mahabhutas. And the Mahabhutas is Akasa, which is etheric sound, ether, or space. You have Vayu, the Vayabhutas, which is the etheric gases or air. And you have Tejas, the Tejas Bhuta or Agni Bhuta, which is etheric heat and fire. And then you have Apas Bhutas, which is etheric liquid or water. And then you have the fifth Mahabhutas, which is Pravitis, which is solids, the gross solids, and the etheric gross solids. And this repeats itself on no matter what realm of existence you are operating on, whether it's an etheric realm, because you have multiple etheric realms, and then or it's astral realms, and you have multiple astral realms, or it's a gross physical realm, and you have multiple gross physical realms. So no matter where you're operating from, those are the five Mahabhutas or etheric elements that you have to deal with. And it can be broken up into tens of thousands or trillions of operations. And then you have the prana that runs through all of these etheric elements. That runs through all the etheric elements. So all the etheric elements utilize the five major pranas. And from that, and from the utilization of the five major pranas, come five minor pranas while in operation. And all of this is Shakti. All of this is Shakti. I hope that answers your question.
Actually, that's it's actually something I wanted to. I had those slides already queued up because I wanted to go into cosmic energies and prana today. We might not have enough time to finish that. That's okay. We can hold that off to another session. And there's a follow-up comment here. So thank you so much. I am currently struggling with my inner calling. I am brought up with a desire, Shakti, to create something, but I can't put my will to completion. Now, this seems to be a theme today in my predetermining action.
Yeah, you know, you have to predetermine your actions. That, remember, everything that could be is already here. It's just being able to realize the potential of all the attributes or all the resources or assets you have in place, and then put it to action. It's just intelligence, pure intelligence. And there's there's a common thread of intelligence of how you want to operate within that intelligence. Know your abilities, know your attributes, know your abilities, know what capacity you can work at, know what your assets are, and place them into motion for the things that you're trying to create. And when you do that, you'll find that the things you need will come your way. It's like the holy books say, those who have shall have more. But but you have to realize that you have in order to have more. If you walk around with the frame of mind that you don't have what you need, you will never get what you need. So you have to realize what you have in order to have more, because when you have it, you will attract more to you. It's just laws in place, and you have to realize that when doing this, you will be judged for what you trying to have. And are you creating positive karma for yourself or negative karma for yourself? In desiring those things that you're trying to go for. When you bring it into operation, into manifestation, is it for the good of people, or for the good of you and the good of people around you, or is it going to hurt more people than it help? As a mystic, you want to know those things.
Oh, that explains that story the master told about the man who went to the yogi and told the yogi, I want to be rich, I want to be wealthy. And the yogi said, I will grant this to you, but only as a lesson. And he was given all the riches and money, but then he got an incurable illness, ended up spending all of his riches just trying to be healthy again, trying to be cured.
Right.
His intention for one of the money wasn't, it created negative, it was greed. He wanted the money out of greed, and that greed created negative karma for him, which brought upon other things.
So you have to be careful about those things.
Right. Now, Shub, in your question, you said, I am brought up with a desire, and then you put Shakti. Are you equating Shakti with desire? I don't think that's correct. I am, yes. Is that that's not correct right now. Shakti isn't desire. And
No, you can't say that Shakti is desire, but desire is a product of Shakti because Shakti is the power of action. So everything is Shakti to a certain extent, but it's just a product of, it's not, you can't describe Shakti as desire, but it's a product of Shakti, a small, tiny aspect of Shakti. You know, just like it's a tall, is an aspect of Chitta, which is the Chitta Shakti, because it operates on the mental level. Remember, you have Chitta Shakti, you know, you have Prana Shakti, you have a Manta Shakti, but it's just an aspect of the Chitta Shakti, but it's not Shakti itself. Shakti means absolute power, endless absolute power.
yeah, true. There's no need to apologize. We're all here to learn. We're all students, so we're all limited. There's no reason to apologize for that. Let's see. Well, good questions, everyone. Keep the questions coming, and we'll those answered for you. So as I did mention earlier, I did want to take a look at chapter 8, and this is from the book Ancient Language of the Soul. This is Mr. Davis's first published work. And let me jump over to Amazon really quick and show you guys where you can pick up a copy of the book. If you're interested, we also had in our Friday sessions, I had done a reading of the Ancient Language of the Soul, as well as we also went over selected excerpts from it in a discussion type format, and we asked the author himself certain questions of the book. So you're welcome to go back and take a look at that playlist and review the text that way as well. The idea was to try to make a kind of an audiobook format of it, but I'll have to go back and redo that series. But here is the book, Ancient Language of the Soul. It's available on Amazon. There's both a Kindle and print edition, although I do like the print edition better, but whichever format best suits you. This is the first book authored by Mr. Nehemiah Davis. The second book, the prayer book, the Miracle Kit, um, we reviewed that book as well. Also authored by Mr. Nehemiah Davis. Let's see if that book is listed here under his authorship. Yes, The Miracle Kit Behind the Power of Prayer. This is the second and most recent release. Mr. Nehemiah Davis. We reviewed that book as well. And currently working on a third book, the Mystic Constitution of Man book. So that's where you can, but chapter 8 is from the first book that we're looking at today, is from the first book, The Ancient Language of the Soul. But as I'm reviewing this, feel free to continue posting any questions or comments you have in the chat, and I'll periodically move back and forth between his review. I'm not going to go too long, think about maybe another 30 minutes into the book. And in this book, there's tables and diagrams. For example, this modification of the Shakti diagram, which I queued up, because in this PDF version, I think this was a proof version. It's not the final version that was released in Kindle. We're just using this one to review over, but in the places where there's illustrations and diagrams, I do jump over to the actual diagram or to an updated one. So the diagram in this book is actually this one. And then there's a couple more modification Shakti illustrations that Davis has made throughout the years. There's this one and a couple others, just to help present information in different ways. So depending on your learning style, help you to understand the material. So before I jump into, let me see if there's any additional questions or comments. And hopefully we answered everything. Oh, there's a question here by James. I missed it, sorry. 118, when you're referring to the realms we have to conquer, and those first three centers, psychic centers and chakras, is 118, like the periodic table.
No, that's the Tava rays. Each chakra have a number of Tava rays. So that's what that is. And I think in the in each chakra you have a total of 306 rays that radiate from the sun. And those rays hit the earth at different angles. And the first two chakras you have at the Muladhara chakra, which is the base, which is the root chakra, you have 56 rays that's utilized by that base of the spine chakra, which is called a Rutra type ray, Tavic ray. And that Rutra Tavic ray, the reason why it's called a Rutra Tavic ray, because the rays go into the earth and is modified by the earth. It not only goes through the earth's atmosphere, but it goes down into the earth and come back to us in various ways. So it's called Rutra, which is Rodra. And that's a Sanskrit name. And also at the sex center, the same, you have 62 Tavic rays that goes through the atmosphere into the earth and back out, which is why mankind today live on those two basic rims. His consciousness, his self-consciousness starts at the base of the spine chakra, and it resides within the sex chakra. And that's why when you look at all our science, all our scientific inventions of today, you have this male and female poles of energy in order to make things move. If you look at things in a simplistic way, you have the receptacle on the wall, and then you have the plug that goes into the receptacle, and then a flow of energy moves. You have a key that goes into the ignition of a car, and you turn that, and then you have the car turns on. Or you have your finger and you press a button, still same thing. So that's why you have this male-female energy going, because of those two chakras, and that's where our consciousness resides. So everything we develop will be similar to the actions of these two vortex centers of consciousness. If you add up the 62 and the 56, it comes to 118 rays. Okay. Also, when you go back to the Bible or the Vedas or whatever book, they always, or the Torah, you'll always see that, or or even the Muslim book Bible, you'll always see that man came from the earth. They talk about how his body was formed from the earth. In the Vedas that wrote this down 90,000 years ago, they say the same thing. And why? But they give a little bit more explanation to it. The rays left the sun, which is the mighty sun Vishnu, and it came here to earth, and it went deep down into the earth, and then it was delivered back to man. And we know that we live off of what? Plants. You have 14 major elements. You have 14 major minerals inside the ground, and you drop a seed there, and you have vegetables, you have grass, you have everything that man needs, and fruits and vegetables, and he eat of these things. These are part of the tavic matter that sustains his life. Then you have the other chakras take on, like the solar plexus chakra take on 52 tavic rays, the heart take on 54, the throat chakra take on 72, and the third eye or Ajna chakra takes on 64. And all of these add up to 360, which correlates with the 360 degrees of Earth. So each one of them produce a certain type of character. But when you conquer, when you take control over the first two chakras, the tavic rays and tavic matter that goes through the first two chakras, we're told that you become an adept. And that's what I mean by the 118. You conquer the 118 realms of existence. I hope that answers your question. I think we gave out a chart with that laid out these rays.
Yes, we did. have to look for it because I just lost it.
I think it's in the, it's in, I think you had it inside the,
Collection of diagrams. Yeah, it's in there. I
you can just refer back to it.
All right, chapter 8, what is cosmic energy or prana? Its relationship with nada. So this is 8 chapters in, so a lot of like nada and so forth was talked about in earlier chapters. In this chapter on cosmic energy, the intent is to show the student the origin of this power and its relationship with sabda or nada, sound. How this power falls down from an absolute source, God, and moves toward a perpetual movement throughout the universe with the help of nada. This nada wave brings about a continued modification of cosmic energy that brings it into a state of gross solidification of this power through what we call creation. Then, the soul of man uses this prana as being radiated throughout the universe to build and manage his various vehicles of expression. Prana is the universal life force of all things. Everything that we have talked about thus far can be described as a modification of this prana. In this chapter, I hope to go into deeper explanation of the nature and origin of prana, cosmic energy, so the student can have a greater and clear appreciation of prana. It is said that prana radiates from the one source, the Absolute, because it is that aspect of Absolute that was activated by a sound vibration, nada, out of a complete static state of endless potential, which brought about the beginning of what we call creation. This wave of nada makes possible this perpetual movement throughout the universe. In our exploration of prana, there are 4 major levels that we can view prana from. It is my intention to try and present the known pathway of the modifications of this Shakti power from a cosmic level to a human level. I have chosen this manner of representation to try and give an easy to understand method of approach to clearly grasp this subject. The following are the subject headings for this chapter. All right, the cosmic level of Shakti or prana, the solar level of prana, manifestation, the terrestrial level of prana, manifestation, and the human level of prana. See, the following diagram lays out the above outline of the 4 headings. The modifications of Shakti chart shows how the pranas move from a highly supreme state of operations to a more subtle and gross state of manifested expressions in this Shakti power. So that's what Nimai was talking about earlier. And the chart here is this one that we looked at before, as well as the other modification of Shakti chart. And there's 2 others that I found as we were talking, but if you get the idea on this chart. The cosmic level of Shakti prana. When we examine the ancient tantric doctrines, it states that Shiva, supreme presence of God, spoke the word, and this word released the sound vibration called nada, which is a continuous wave of sound vibration, which is the conscious will of God. This wave of nada vibrations helps to manifest the Shakti power wrapped in nada out of the Shiva. Then this Shakti power, with the use of nada force, modifies a portion of itself into the 4 Shakti principles, which are as follows. 1. Shakti as mind substance. This is a universal or infinite mind consciousness of the Nada Shakti wave of power that permeates the universe and gives conscious awareness to all forms and shapes. It acts as a magnetic force that holds the configuration to all forms and shape that extends from the four principles of Shakti. Number 2, Shakti as prana. This is the all-pervasive vital life force of the wave of Nada Shakti that acts as the fuel for all forms and shapes within manifestation. It is the main source of power within creation, whether it's subtle or gross. Number 3, Shakti as Vijnana. This is the aspect of knowledge within the Nada Shakti wave that holds the essence of all things and governs this wave with the supreme knowledge understanding of the karmic pressures of the divine law that structures all creation. And number 4 is Shakti as Ananda. This is a spiritual bliss state within the Nada Shakti wave that permeates the universe and sustains all forms and shapes with the preservational force within the Nada Shakti wave. It's also known as a flow or wave of love energy that permeates the universe and holds all things in manifestation and is the transforming power for all things. We live by the grace and love of God. Out of these Shakti principles came the Mahabhutas. These Shakti principles moved forward and created 5 distinct sound vibrations that wrap themselves in the Shakti power and is called the Mahabhutas. The Mahabhutas are the subtle, universal cosmic energies, or Shakti power, that expresses those infinite universal subtle elements, which is described as follows. Number 1, Akasha. Okay, Pippin, I see your question, and I will read it after I finish the discussion on the subtle elements. Akasa. This is the first Nada Shakti wave within the Mahabhutas. This is the etheric sound quality within the Nada Shakti wave. It expresses the quality of space by throwing or pushing the pranas into a form that creates a line or conduit of infinite space, which acts as a carrying agent for all the other Mahabhutas. The conduit of space is an endless, infinite area of space that is actually indescribable. Akasa is the Mahabhuta that all Mahabhutas work through in order to express their specific qualities of the Nada Shakti powers. Akasa is the thing all forms and shapes come from and is made from. All the Mahabhutas are made from and are a part of the Akasa substance. The Vayu, Tejas, Apas, and Prithivi are all components of Akasa and are considered Mahabhutas themselves. To use an example of this, we can consider a beam of light. When looking at the beam of light through a prism apparatus, we can see the inner spectrums that make up the beam of light. We immediately notice that there are arrays of colored light spectrums within the beam of light, and each one of these light spectrums are still considered to be light, not a byproduct of light, but light itself. Just as Akasa is Shakti, Nada, and the Mahabhutas, which are the principal configuration for prana formation and the frequencies of the Nada, are nothing but aspects of Shakti that produce all form. 2. Vayu. This expression of the Nada Shakti wave gives accelerated speed to the Mahabhutas or pranas. With the start of the second expression of the Mahabhutas, Vayu, this cosmic etheric substance throws the wave into the form of a tiny spheres that exhibits accelerated speed. Vayu was also described as an air quality or power that pervades throughout all space. It seeks to fill a vacuum. Because of this exhibited power, it is said to also express the power of touch. This locomotion's speed modified the Nada Shakti wave to express another component or quality of the wave that expresses itself as fire and color, which brings forward the next Mahabhutas. Number 3, Tejas. This expression of the Nada Shakti wave has the duty of giving the Mahabhutas, pranas, the ability of expansion. It carries the quality or power of fire and color, which gives great strength to the involution process of solidification. The acceleration of the Vayu Bhutas brings the fiery heat of the Tejas Bhutas that unlocks the colors wrapped within this Mahabhutas. Countless colors express themselves, or all realms of existence, from this process. This stage of the Tejas Mahabhutas that brought color forward also ushers in the next Mahabhutas, which cools the Nada Shakti wave of Mahabhutas down. Number 4, Apas. With this expression of the Nada Shakti wave, we get the cooling effect that comes into play with the properties of contraction being given to the Mahabhutas, pranas. This brings the resistance factor into play. It is with this bhutas that the solidification process can begin to be seen as the first visible forms of manifested Shakti. This aspect of the Mahabhutas wave is associated with the quality and power of water and taste. And number 5, Prithivi. This expression of the Nada Shakti wave brings about the power that covers up space, solidifies, with its natural desire toward gross matter. A concentration of Nada force and Shakti power is manifested in this stage of the Mahabhutas, which exhibits itself as a compaction Nada wave force and Shakti power that produce cohesive resistance. This allows the highest principle and qualities of Nada forces and Shakti powers that manifest itself on the very subtle realms of existence to the most subtle, grossest realms of manifestation, producing countless different expressions of life. Let me pause here and go to Bipin's question. Bipin's question reads, how to know my consciousness is rising? As I do not have direct contact with the Guru, I have to be self-observant. How can I know that I am growing?
So you're asking, how do I know that rain is falling on me? So if you walk out into the rain, you know that the rain is falling on you. When your consciousness rise, you would know, because you would feel the rise of consciousness. And that's how simple it is. So I mean, don't make things so complex. When I was a child, a teenager, I gave up my teenage years to practice yoga. And I spent many, many hours a day practicing yoga. And, I would chant mantra. I would do all the breathing exercises, all the physical yoga exercises, trying to have a breakthrough. When the breakthrough came, I knew it, because you begin to have certain experiences. And someone talking to you, all of a sudden, a light show come around their body. and you could see this light show expressing their various levels of consciousness, even the things that they're not even saying to you. So you would know. So it's just like you walking out and you could feel the sun hitting the forehead, or you could feel the rain shining down on you. When you're conversating with someone, you would see. Another experience I had, I was at school, sitting in the benches, and I happened to see my teacher walk out to talk to one of the coaches, and I guess he was upset about something, or something was going on. And he was so emotional that when he left the spot and talking to the coach, uh, there was a trail behind him of his expression. I could see an astral or etheric imprint of him still standing there as he walked away, and creating more and more imprints of himself. And that was his aura. That was the traces of his aura that he was leaving behind from his heightened emotional state. So these things, is you will recognize it. No one have to tell you. You would live that experience. You will live that experience. So no one have to tell you those things. I hope that answers your question.
After this paragraph, it goes to soul level. Okay, so I'll finish reading this paragraph and then we'll close out for today. These Mahabhutas are what the Nada wave and Shakti principles use for the building blocks of creation. The Shakti principles are like four infinite planes of existence that the Mahabhutas are built upon. The Shakti principles allow the supreme Mahabindus to manifest themselves as a massive point of concentrated Shakti and Nada sources of power that projects this Nada and Shakti power as countless life forms in all different types, forms, and shapes into countless realms of existence. This wave of Nada or Sabda forces projects itself from the Shakti principles as pure consciousness embodied in the Mahabhutas, creating the subtle universe that the physical universe is built on. Within this all-pervasive Nada consciousness of Shakti power, there are the Mahabindus, which are the centers of compacted, concentrated points of Nada and Shakti power that we call galaxies, solar systems, suns, planets, moons. All these celestial bodies are supreme points of consciousness that split their consciousness up into countless parts to serve countless souls. All right, so next time we'll continue reading through the chapter 8, and hopefully we'll get into the chapter of the chakras. But also along with this discussion on the cosmic energies and the pranas, there were two classes that Nimai gave on prana and subtle cosmic energy, specifically how to manipulate prana and subtle cosmic energies. And in those classes, there went over several subjects, as you can see here. What is prana, the major sources, and so on and so forth. And there were also a series of handouts that were given in those two classes. And I wanted to go over those along with chapter 8. And then that will take us right into the 21 lessons series. So there were two, these were a set of handouts for both class 1 and class 2, and then there was a second set of handouts talking about the ancient mystic knowledge of the flow of prana. The chapter goes into this as well, but I wanted to use these handouts to help us understand better, get a better understanding of these cosmic energies, prana, and then move into the 21 lessons. That's what we'll cover next time. So do we have any final questions or comments before we close out today's session? As a reminder, on our YouTube channel, under playlists, there is a playlist entitled The 21 Lessons of Metaphysics, the Foundation of Mystic and Yogic Teachings. There are over 30 videos in that playlist, but 15 of them, half of them, are of the 21 Lessons of Metaphysics series proper. And those 15 videos we will cover in our study and review of selected lecture series. We'll take about 2 sessions per video, so that's 30 sessions. That should carry us out for the remainder of this year when you take into account holidays and trips and other reasons why I'll be able to hold session. In 2026, we will cover another playlist, one of the most popular series on the serpent power, the secrets of tantric and shaktic yoga. Going to cover that next year. That's because everyone has plenty of time to review the video series, as well as to pick up a copy of the book. You can purchase a physical copy or believe on our website, mysticknowledge.org, under the ebook library pages, under the section for Arthur Avalon or Sir John Woodruff. I do believe there's a PDF version available for you to download of Serpent Power. So you have now until next year to make your way through that book, and as well as that playlist series. And then so when we go back and review that series next year, we can have quite an engaging discussion following that study and review. And again, I may move this study and review series to our Friday sessions that we used to have. We met in person. I may start those up again, both online and in person. And then that'll free up our Sunday meetings for additional lectures. Right. If there are no final questions or comments, let me just take a quick look. All right, when will be our next session? So I would like to do sessions the remainder of March, the 23rd and the 30th. And because I want to make sure they cover chapter 8 and chapter 9 of the Ancient Language of the Soul book, which is the chakras, chapter 9 is chakras, and chapter 8, the cosmic energies. So that in April, we can start with the 21 lessons and then devote those next 40, 30 Sundays to the covering of the series, or those Fridays to covering of the series, then open up the Sundays for lectures. Now, next week, the 23rd to the 29th, is spring break, and I work for a college or for a university. And so while spring break is on, we won't be meeting at the college, and I will be out of town that week. So I may not be able to do a session on the 23rd, but I'll try to. I'll try to have us, you'll keep tuned in to MeetUp and to, I don't know if you're on our email list or not. I will, if we're able to have class, and I'll send an announcement. If not, then no announcement will go out. But I should be back by the 30th, and there'll definitely be a session on the 30th. But just keep abreast to MeetUp into your email, and you'll know if there'll be a session on the 23rd and the 30th, or just on the 30th. Is there anything you wanted to add, Nehemiah, before we close out today?
No, there's nothing else. I'm glad to see everybody had a lot of questions today.
Everyone, so let us close out today's session reciting the New Lord's Prayer. The New Lord's Prayer. O divine and wondrous Spirit, O everlasting Lord of hosts, send forth now through me thy great and lasting power. Allow me, Almighty God, the lasting privilege of radiating to all the world thy great love, so that those who suffer may be given the power and energy to rise above their weaknesses. Almighty God, in great humility do I ask you to send forth your power, to give to me this great lasting privilege of being a channel, so that my suffering brothers may be helped and guided and healed and lifted into thy light, so that they who know not may look up, and in doing so receive to their higher selves your divine counsel. Almighty God, this day have you granted me a divine privilege. I ask you now to give to me the strength, so that never again will I turn from my inner vision of you. Oh, great peace, great peace, great peace. In praise of your greatness, O God, doth my soul sing. Grant it energy to sing on forever and forever. All right, thank you very much, everyone, for your kind attendance and participation. Thank you again for the engagement and all the wonderful questions and comments. And do stay tuned to MeetUp. If you go to meetup.com, look for the My Metaphysical Study Group. That's where I push out all of our announcements for upcoming classes and sessions. You can also find on meetup.com the South Florida Atheist Society group, where I'll as well push out announcements for our services and commemorations and others meetings. If you have any questions or comments that you'd like to shoot our way, you can send us an email. We'll be glad to either answer those questions privately for you, or because permission, we can pose the question in a subsequent session for the benefits of other students as well. Thank you again. Have a wonderful week, and we'll see you next time. Take care.